Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. We are pleased to be joined by the one, the only Thad Moffitt, who's been a very busy person the last few weeks. How's it going, man?
It's going good, Casey. Just trying to get ready for this 2022. Wrapped up 2021. Didn't get to run the last couple races, but still feel like we had a pretty successful season. So looking forward to it.
Okay, so for people that don't know, what kind? Because I know that there were a lot of races that you were supposed to run. What happened, kind of, with that? So kind of explain as much as you can.
A funding deal fell through. We were supposed to run the last couple races, and like happens pretty often in this sport at the lower levels, some funding just wasn't there, and you can't go race without the money to go race. So we just had to bite it on that and miss the last couple, but still feel like we could have possibly ran really well at those last couple of races as well.
Absolutely. So I know that there's been a lot of talks about. Well, first, before we get into that, let's talk about your season this year. You ran more races than you ever have. I think it was 16 when I last counted. That's the most races that you've ran so far. But how excited were you to get through the season? But overall, how do you think you did?
I think that just being able to run more often really, really helped me a lot. Like being in the seat a lot more, because there's been years in the past where we had sponsors for races in February and then didn't have another sponsor until the middle of the year. So it was really good for me to be able to go into the season and be like, okay, I'm going to run these races and this is what I'm going to do. And I think it was really good for us as a team to build that camaraderie and be together every week, And I think overall we were pretty solid all year. Corey and Ty kind of carried the ship in the ARCA series. They won almost all the races, right, except for 2 or 3. Yeah. So it was pretty cool for me to just be able to run week in and week out, and I really feel like we were probably a third place team for most of the year. We stayed third in points. At times I felt we were a little better, that we had cars capable of winning in the right scenarios. The 18 was just really strong almost every weekend. And so for us as a whole, I think that I learned a lot this season. I learned a lot about mile and a halves, a lot about road courses, improved a lot on my skill. And overall, I'd say it was a successful learning year.
So now that 2021 is over, a lot of people are now, and it's the off season now. 2022 is upon us, and I know there's been a lot of talks about what RPM is going to do. Also, there's been a lot of talks about what your plans are going to be. What can you tell us now about what you plan on doing next year?
Right now, all I can really say is that I'm really excited about 2022. There's a lot in the works, depending on where RPM ends up and what they end up doing, then they can move forward with what I'm going to do. Hopefully we're running some Xfinity maybe stuff and some truck stuff, but we'll just have to wait and see where RPM ends up, and then I'll go from there.
Yeah, we'll have to kind of see what that is. But what do you want to run for next year?
I think that I still have some stuff to improve on. So I just want to run as much as I can. If it's a truck race and an ARC race in the same weekend, or a Xfinity race and an ARC race in the same weekend, similar to what I like Ty and Sam and a couple of the other guys Taylor was doing this year. Some stuff like that I think just really, really helps you progress. And obviously running a race earlier in the weekend usually helps you later in the weekend, as we've seen in the past. So that's my goal for next year, just run as much as possible. Hopefully get up and run, make a few truck starts, maybe Xfinity, just keep moving up that ladder and keep getting better.
So kind of talk about what you've been doing, like, because when you're not in the car, you've been pretty busy with some partnerships, of course. Kind of talk about that.
Yeah, so I went to SEMA this past week and hung out with the Dino Jets people, BASF, a lot of our partners over at Petty's Garage and Richard Petty Motorsports, and then my personal partners, of course, went out there and to SEMA and hung out with them. And that was really fun, just nurturing that. And then I'm going to school, so I'm doing these mini masters these 8-week semesters that have been really hard. I feel like I have an essay due every other week or every week, it's been difficult keeping up with school and doing the appearances and the goodie stuff. So just keep getting through it. And then hopefully 2022, I'm ready to be at Daytona as soon as possible. I feel like my off season started a little bit earlier than everybody else's. So I feel like I've been out of the seat for a while already. So I'm ready to get back to it.
So I know you're in school. Where are you going? And I think one of the ARCA broadcasts mentioned that you're also going into journalism.
Yeah, so I'm going to CPCC, which is a community college right here in Charlotte beside UNCC. And I'm doing actually a double major. So I'm getting a business degree and a broadcasting and entertainment degree. So I'm super excited about that. I think it's helped me a lot doing the broadcasting entertainment, just speaking in public, because it was always a fear of mine. Like talking in front of people is never easy. And so it's helped me a lot.
Yeah, of course, one of the things as a driver that you have to do besides not driving the car is you have to go to all these appearances. You have to do interviews like this and all that. So I'm sure that's helped you a ton in all these, right?
Yeah, for sure. So getting up and talking in front of your classmates is still a little different than talking in front of hundreds of people, but it does give you a little start, and I think it helps a little bit.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Thad Moffitt, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Congrats on a great 2021 season, and we'll look forward to seeing what you have, what's in store for you in 2022, and look forward to some announcements being made about your what's next for you.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for having me, Casey.